I got to see some of his stuff over the weekend, and I was really amazed. It didn't surprise me at all. But basically, here, let me tell you what he says, and I'll show you how that ties into our subject we're going to be talking about today. This particular young doctor basically said that, look, these people are coming in from the ER. We have been taught and trained how to manage these type of people because they're coming in as COVID-19 people, having that COVID-19 virus. At least we believe that because the symptoms suggest that. And so there's a protocol that we follow to try to solve their problem, okay? And as I get into this, I have to tell you, and this I'm speaking for this doc, he's basically saying, look, this is, we're trained to do a certain thing, and he says, these people are not dying from what we're trained to prevent. In other words, they're dying from something else. All my tests on them, in fact, he said this, he said, all the tests I'm running on these people, they're dying from oxygen deprivation. And he says the only way oxygen deprivation can occur is they got to be in high elevation, maybe in a high plane, and they lose their, the atmosphere in the plane, or maybe they're top of a high mountain. He says, that's what all my tests are showing. These people are dying of oxygen deprivation. And so when I look at that, I say, well, okay, so I've done all this other research and all these things tied to the coronavirus, including the theory that it's 5G initiated. So what I do is I look at all the different technology out there and all the docs and the research, and here's what I'm finding out. I'm trying to be as open-minded as possible to try to get to the bottom of what's really going on here. So we have these docs out there saying now 5G has nothing to do with coronavirus. And then you have the docs out there saying that's exactly what's going on. It's the 5G is causing it, and they're using the virus as a cover for the implementation of 5G. So it's you get one extreme to the other. So you have to get to the bottom of it. So what really is going on here? I can tell you when I saw this young doctor at this hospital in New York on the front line, and him basically saying, look, my tests are all showing these people are dying of oxygen deprivation. One of the studies from the various doctors, including Dr. Sheed, and there's some others out there, are basically saying that one of the things that 5G does, in terms of viruses or coronavirus, is that it blocks the uptake of cellular oxygen, meaning that you're starving of oxygen. When I see totally unrelated another doc, a young doc in a hospital practicing what he's supposed to be doing, he's seeing all these patients coming in, and it's showing oxygen deprivation. Now, how would you connect those dots? I think it's pretty easy. We'd start saying, okay, it looks like these other docs are saying 5G, one of the problems with 5G is it blocks oxygen uptake of the cell. And then the other doctor on the front line saying, hey, we're finding oxygen deprivation here, and we need to treat them totally different. So it gives additional credence, credibility to what these other researchers are saying. Okay, that's playing out here. So when you connect those dots, I have to come to the conclusion that 5G does have an impact on what's going on here. Now, the other research I'm coming across in various sources is that the coronavirus, for example, is no more than just a regular cold. Now, there's all kind of coronaviruses out there. It's been around for a long time. The common cold can be the coronavirus. And then you have the docs out there basically saying, look, here's another thing that's happening so that you know. When a person is affected by 5G, and there's different levels of this influence. In other words, if you have a lot of it going on, there's more damage that occurs versus if you have a little bit. And so what they're finding out, number one, I've already told you, is 5G shows that people who are affected by this are having oxygen deprivation. oxygen uptake in the cell. The other thing that happens before this is flu-like symptoms. Okay, and these other reports are saying when you have electromagnetic exposure in the beginning stages of it, you have enough of it, the body responds at the cellular level. Okay, and what really happens at the cellular level is that the body becomes intoxicated by electromagnetics. In other words, electromagnetics actually is a toxin to the body, to the cell. And so the body cells trying to survive they get sick. They totally get sick, and they start removing from the cell all the baggage, all the things that really doesn't need to survive and move forward. And the things that it tries to get rid of are proteins, okay, and RNA. Well, if you look at the composition of what a virus is, it's made up of the same stuff, okay? So you start thinking, okay, now you have another group over here that's basically saying, okay, that viruses aren't viral. In other words, you can't catch a virus because a virus isn't alive. It's not a real entity. You have that group. So I have it, and they make some really good arguments. They show exactly what's there, and they have science that supports this. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to go into the corona side of this. I'm going to go into the 5G side because that's what I've been asked to do. But before I do that, I wanted to share this with you, okay? And you know, one of the things that we have the ability here to do, once you understand what we're about, we are able to create botanical herbal ingredients, if you will, in their information energy form and provide those to people with the intent that people will see value in that. And in fact, as I've explained before, I believe that it could even be more superior, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So I looked at Dr. Shiva, and Dr. Shiva, I mean, you see his presentations, the guy's brilliant. He knows his stuff. I mean, he blows away these medical doctors. Like, I mean, just, in fact, he's criticized, you know, the doctor that comes on television with President Trump talking about how bad it is here in this country and throughout the world. Dr. Fauci or Fossey or something like that. Anyways, he just blows this guy away. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. In fact, he says he does know what he's doing, but he's misleading everybody. And he shows exactly what's going on here. He says, look, I'm the researcher. I'm the one that shows how this thing works. These medical doctors don't know how to do that. Okay, they just get information second-handed and they pass it on. So as I went through Dr. Shiva's stuff, I wanted to provide you information that he says, if you want to really solve this problem with the coronavirus, if you're really concerned about that, there is a protocol that he created, okay, with ingredients, and I just gleaned this from his material, okay, that you can use. It's very effective. And he goes in each one of these categories. For example, vitamin A. He talks about why vitamin A is so important. Now, before this whole coronavirus happened, vitamin A was, you know, the eye vitamin, right? And everybody thought, you know, I didn't think of that as a big heavyweight vitamin other than it's good for your eyes. But apparently his research shows that vitamin A is
I'm in
one
the
of the
live
heavy
call
lifters.
right now. My mic is muted, so they can't hear me talking to you. But what you hear in the background is Dr. Ron Spence. It's Ron Spence.
Wait, no, excuse me. No.
What?
Incorrect. Vitamin A.
Why are you doing that? Why are you making that decision?
Used by the body.
Gosh, I was just saying.
Stop a virus penetrating a cell because it builds a structure around the cells, a very rigid, fibrous structure that is impenetrable
the call is on, and you should
viruses. Okay, so I'm thinking
call.
that's pretty cool. Vitamin A.
Right
So
now.
that's the most important vitamin, a nutrient that we should take
to
immune ourselves
educated old
from the
man
penetration of viruses.
This technology.
Of course, the next one is vitamin C.
I sent you the link.
Vitamin C, then you have everybody knows about vitamin C. That's Dr. Linus Pauling. He's done a lot of research. Nobel Prize winners.
Of course, you can just listen. You don't have to participate.
And
That's what I'm sending you the link for, so you
given
can listen.
intravenously is more powerful than taken
Please.
orally. And I would like to. I would like to say that you'd like to take a look at our vitamin C information version of that, the corollary, I believe it's even more effective than any of them, because anything that's vitamin C intravenously or taken orally is a physical thing. I believe the information corollary of that may be more effective because there's no way to block it. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Then there's vitamin D3. Vitamin D3, and vitamin D3 is a hormone, and you have to understand same as vitamin A, but we get that from the sun. The best way to get vitamin D assimilation in the body is from the sun. But if you don't have sun, then vitamin D3 supplementation strong. So he indicated vitamin D is another good one, and then zinc. So those are combinations: A, C, D3, and zinc. Those are the heavy lifters. Now, later on, he added some other additional ones. Okay. By the way, all these are in our library. The other one is iodine, and from another study is iodine. Now, you can accomplish iodine with kelp as well. Kelp is high in iodine, so you can use the natural kelp version or iodine. I think both of these are in our library. And then another study showed nitric oxide, and the last one selenium. So when you look at all these, this would be a new protocol formula that is a nutritional formula that can enhance the immune system ability to defend against invaders like viruses. So you got vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, iodine or kelp, or both, okay, nitric oxide, and selenium. So to me, that's another cool formula that we can bring out. And by the way, I think every one of these are in our current library. So we could use that as additional. I know Dr. Cook put together Today's Immunity, and Today's Immunity is a little bit different because they are botanicals that are associated with, historically, they've been used to fight microbes, pathogens, okay, fungus, bacteria, and viruses. And they have a history of hundreds and sometimes even thousands of years. So those particular botanicals were assembled that have that history behind them. And they're not as much as nutrients as talking about here. This particular protocol we just shared with you is more nutrient-based, provide the body what it needs to help fight off these invaders.
And you know what, Ron? Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to say that if everybody looks on their Spark scans, all of those things that he put on the list are present in some percentage in your Spark scan, because that's how critical they are to help what's going on right now. And I'm telling you, you guys, if you guys look at your Spark scan, those things that he just mentioned will be there, because I know they are on mine. So, thanks for those right there, those bullet points, and for us to jot those down, Ron. We really appreciate that.
You bet. So, in any event, okay, so let's move on. Let's move on into, Vance wanted me to talk more about the 5G implication and what we have as weapons there to assist us there. First of all, I'm convinced, and I've done a lot, I can't help. Most of the stuff I'm receiving right now happens to be flavored with Corona stuff and 5G stuff. It's just everybody's jumped on this bandwagon. I'm getting tons of stuff coming to me. So it's fun. I don't have time to do all of it, but I'm doing enough of it. And here's what I do. I glean from it because I take a look at all the positions of what the pros and cons and see what makes the most sense. So when I say what makes the most sense, whoever has the clearest science to support their argument and what's going on. Now, here's what I've come to the conclusion. Okay, the more of the mainstream version is very weak in their argument. They'll come out and say 5G has no impact whatsoever, but they never provide enough detail to show why that's the case. It's just like name calling, okay? And so the other thing I've discovered is that when they provide this information, for example, they'll twist it. For example, I saw research just yesterday where these docs have said there's no connection between 5G and Corona, and here's the reason why. There's no way, and then they twist it and say 5G doesn't cause Corona. Well, we didn't say that, okay? And so they skid around it to show that their position is true, what they're saying is true, but they didn't answer the question. And so what I'm finding out is that I've come to the conclusion that the coronavirus is a virus, just like the cold is, and it might be, it's like the standard flu. It might even be more viral. There is a lot of good evidence to suggest that this is man-made. And the reason why I say that is they've traced this thing down and looked at least the pros, the guys like the Dr. Shivas of the world, who are in the trenches as the virologists, and they know what's going on. This didn't happen by accident. This was a manipulated effort here. Whether it was accidentally released or done on purpose, but that's not for us to argue. In fact, it's out there. But its abilities to kill people, there is no spike in mortality based on calling this a coronavirus. We shut down our whole world economy pretty much, and there's no spike in deaths from any other time of the year. Okay, they're saying there's no pandemic here. This is not a pandemic. So as we look at the evidence in terms of the connection between 5G, let's take a look at that again. And these are from empirical evidence observed by scientists who are in the trenches trying to connect dots here and make this work. And by the way, I wanted to share with you, I don't have it here in front of me, but a doctor from, before I leave the subject, a doctor from, I think it's upstate New York, I'm trying to remember his name, I think Zelensky.
Yes.
He actually communicated with a doctor or President Trump to share with him, hey, look, we have solutions right now. He says, look, I have 900 patients that I have treated with his protocol, and I'm trying to remember the ingredients now. The first one, of course, we've heard in the news called hydroxychloroquine, okay? So he uses that. He also uses, was it zinc? Yeah, it was zinc, okay? And the other one was, erythromycin. Now, erythromycin is an antibiotic, okay? So those three ingredients is what he uses. Now, he has treated 900 people, and he says it takes a week to 2 weeks to go through the whole process. He says, I've treated 900 people testing positive with COVID-19 or coronavirus. He says, out of the 900, all 900 are cured. It's gone. I mean, that's a pretty good track record.
Right.
Okay. Now, you'll see the group of doctors out there that support the vaccine model, they will argue against that. Well, this isn't tested. We haven't gone through the double-blind test. And I would say, hey, let me tell you something. Here's the conclusion I've come to. And I know those are good things, doing the double-blind test. A lot of these things, when they test drugs and everything, they cost many, many millions of dollars. Okay? I have, over the years, read studies. And how have I come across this? I've come across studies that were lawsuits against Big Pharma because they have done something, they've hurt somebody, and then you have people come against them. And in the lawsuits and discovery, you find out the real things going on behind the scenes. For example, things that they state, things that they cover up, things that they add, things that they amend and adjust so that the study will come out the way that they want it to come out, so as to sell their stuff, okay? And of course, this all gets covered up. They pay off whatever they pay off. It gets covered off, but you don't know the difference behind this. So just let you know that goes on all the time behind the scenes, okay? And so let's take a look at the 5G stuff. And I'm going to share with you what I've come to the conclusion because they make the best arguments. And they show where 5G, when they look at people who are influenced by electromagnetics, and this is, these are all kinds of different electromagnetics, but 5G in particular seems to be the stronger influence on biology. And they looked at people being affected for some reason, older people are more negatively affected than younger people. I think it's because younger people have the ability to withstand that onslaught of electromagnetics better than older people. Because as we get older, we're not everything's running on all 8 cylinders, okay? Right. So people who are older and there's like about 8 different things these doctors talked about that influence an older person. And if you have only about 2 of those left that's working, you're probably going to be a bad statistic. Okay, you have to have more than 2 of those functioning. And so these doctors are saying, look, we know that electromagnetics influenced by 5G in other countries. And by the way, in Denmark and Switzerland right now, they've blocked 5G from happening there. Also recently, you don't hear about this on the 5 o'clock news, over in England right now, they have groups out there burning down 5G towers. Okay, these are renegades, okay? But they're burning down 5G towers because there's enough people over there realizing, and the information is getting out that this stuff is harmful to us, and they're taking the law into their own hands because if they don't, they believe they're going to be dead. So just so that you know, this kind of stuff is playing out over there, and you don't hear one thing about this on the 5 o'clock news. That's the reason why we have the internet. The internet provides us a lot of cool information that we can get through alternative media. And so the first thing that happens with 5G that discovered is that it's like a toxin. It's like you just got loaded with tons of toxic material and your cells are trying to get rid of it to survive. And so the first thing that happens is that it shows up as a flu-like condition. Now, how convenient if you're being affected by 5G and you have these flu-like symptoms, how cool that is to blame it on something like corona. And in fact, it has nothing to do with corona. Most people, the majority of people probably have been exposed by corona already. Okay, and it's not the kind of stuff that kills you, unless you are one of the vulnerable people that don't have your immune system working on all 8 cylinders. And that's what we're seeing happening and playing out for the most part. I look at here in Utah. I think here in Utah we have 3.3 million people, and I can't remember. It's like 600 people that've been affected or something like that. Maybe 1,000, somewhere between there. But we've only had 9 deaths. Okay, and every one of those deaths were older people who their immune system were compromised by something else. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, these are the same type of people who would die normally from just normal kind of stuff that happens in life. Okay, so when we see this, I'm starting to connect these dots and realize, okay, that's really pretty much what's playing out in the coronavirus. Isn't the big boogeyman that we think it is, but there's some things that are happening. You start connecting dots between the 5G connection. There's a lot of good arguments that are playing out there. Okay, first of all, it shows up early on as the flu. Okay, and some of the doctors, they're basically saying, look, when that happens, your body's removing the proteins and the RNA. Those are the components of virus. So we have the viruses feeding the viruses. Okay, that's one argument. I'm just passing this on to you. But the one that, and this has come from different researchers, where they're showing that 5G exposure stops the uptake of oxygen at the cellular level. Now, that's a biggie. Okay, that's a drop dead kind of thing. You don't have oxygen, you don't breathe, you die pretty quick. And when you see an unrelated doctor in New York in a hospital in the front lines, a young guy, all his observations are showing these guys are coming with coronavirus. There's a protocol that we treat them, and it doesn't work because they have oxygen deprivation. It's like someone dropped them off at the top of Mount Everest and left them there. Okay, that's the kind of thing we're seeing, and our protocol to address coronavirus doesn't address that. It has to be something that, he says, we've got it all wrong. Something's wrong here, guys. I'm trying to get it out to the world that this is all wrong, what's going on here. So that totally makes sense and blends with the research from these other doctors saying, look, 5G radiation stops the oxygen from uptake in the cells. Now, the other things happen. When you're flying in a jet plane high at 35,000 feet, there are thousands of satellites that live up in the atmosphere that are emitting 5G radiation. That's another possibility of exposure, okay, when you're up there. So that's another thing they've connected on. So between the fact that the cells demonstrate that they have a flu-like symptoms, what easy way, if you're rolling out a system that everybody financially, and a lot of money is invested in this, and you're rolling this 5G system out worldwide, okay, in the places where it's been rolled out, you find these viruses. How convenient is, let's go ahead and blame it on a virus, blame it on that, lock down the world, and do everything we want to do, when in fact, at the end of the day, what the problem is, it's 5G. Okay? And more people are starting to wake up now, particularly over in Europe. They're really sensitive to this. They're on top of this stuff. So, okay, now at the end of the day here, I have all this stuff that I've read through, connecting the dots, it makes sense to me. That's the logical explanation of what is happening, okay? And so, okay, so what do we do?
Right, okay. What do we do? How can Limbic Arc help us?
Exactly. So, I just shared with you a formula that, assuming that there is a virus, okay, I've shared with you the protocol of that. These are all ingredients that we have that people can use. And if they're impacted by a virus, any virus, this might be, this is information coming from, trained docs out there in the front lines doing research that know how the body's immune system can be impacted favorably to ward off these kind of things. We just talked about that. Now, so let's talk about 5G. Let's talk about what is it that we have. What are some of the tools that we have that can help prevent us from that kind of exposure? Because right now, until there's enough people on the planet who wake up and realize, possibly we have a 5G problem here, and I think at some point that's going to happen. I really do, because there's more and more people doing this. And so what we have to do is say, okay, what do we have that's going to do this? Well, Dr. Cook has created 5G, called imponderables. These are electromagnetics, and these are imponderables. So he's created, let me see, there's a list about 14. These are imponderables that affect electromagnetics. I don't have that list here in front of me, but one of them is 5G, one of them is 4G. Now, I've been showing 4G. Now, I haven't shown any 5G yet, but I have 4G, and it's still electromagnetics. That's not good for the body. So what Dr. Cook has created the imponderable, and how this works is this way. Because it's homeopathic in nature, when Dr. Cook, how he got involved in this, he got involved in this in such a way that he had bad allergies back in the day. That's how he got involved in this whole thing. And he said that, this one doc shared with me how this works. So, for example, if he's allergic to a particular plant, that plant, and they actually dilute it to a point to where it's thousands of dilutions. And when they give that back to you, it actually blocks the impact, just homeopathy, it blocks the impact of that botanical bothering. Okay. And so, in any event, Dr. Cook has created a homeopathy line of electromagnetic solutions, one of them being 5G. So if your body identifies and you do your voice activated spark scan, and it shows you have 5G in your in your list, especially if it's in the 80 to 90% range, then that says you're being exposed by 5G. Your body doesn't like it. It's identifying that you've got a problem, or at least a potential of that. And over a period of time, you have more of a problem. So at least number one, first of all, we find out that we have the problem in the first place, that we have the exposure in the first place, and that's half the battle. Understanding that you are being exposed by, because your body just says, hey, 5G's on the radar here, let's do something about it. So when you select that 5G, then what the homeopathy technology is, it blocks 5G from affecting your body. Just like if you had a botanical, you were allergic to a particular botanical, well, maybe it's peanuts or something. Or if he creates the imponderable homeopathic to that, it actually blocks it from affecting the body. The same thing here with Dr. Cook. When I talked to him about this, now, is this actually going to block the electromagnetics? He says that's how it was designed. The intent of it was to block that from hurting your body. Now, so putting it to the
even
test,
if you're in the airplane and you get hit with the 5G from the satellites.
That's right. That's the intent. Okay, and he says, try to not go into harm's way. It's try to prevent as much as we can. But if you're there, we have a tool that helps block it and also identify the fact that you have that exposure. Now, for example, in my situation, just to use an example, I had, I'm on this guy a lot here, okay, and that's 4G, okay, and so it showed when I did my voice scans the last several times that I have that on the radar, and every time I've run it, it went less and less and less. It fell. In fact, it's fallen off the radar. I went from 92% to 80% to 42%. And that's the kind of thing you would expect. And so I know it works. I know it works from that standpoint, and it's working just like what Dr. Cook says. So we have these abilities. And by the way, it's not just 5G, electromagnetics in general. One of the studies I read, this was a month ago, this happened to come from, these were people who, former NASA scientists, these are brilliant people, and they're basically showing the history of electromagnetics, the impact that it has on human health. It was pretty telling. They even connected it with the various pandemics we've had over the past, because when they implemented a new electromagnetic something into the Earth, whether it be radio waves, whether it be radar, or whatever it is, 6 months later there would always be a pandemic. Okay, so they're showing our body's not liking this stuff. Okay, and so it did make this connection. This has been happening for 50 years. It's just that now we're moving into an age where the radiation is more severe. 5G is many times more, has more of an impact against biology than some 4G or 3G or 2G. And so, in any event, that's the reason why guys, we have a tremendous tool here. First of all, let's take a look at, for those of you who don't know, because we're not providing botanical. Oh, by the way, any of you guys can take botanicals and try those things out. You see, I think botanicals are good. And if our immune system is running properly, botanicals will work really great. But we know that we're living in a modern age. We have a lot of things hitting us that is making our body's ability to work properly, or 100%, it's compromised, and therefore we may not get as good results. But when you take a look at what Dr. Cook's put together, this is information. Okay, now information is so significant. We have to have information. Our body runs on information, especially as holograms. We're energy. Or information, and if you break down what anything is in our physical relationship, or any botanical or anything that we see is physical, when you break it down to its lowest building blocks, it's made up of the same stuff that everything's made up of. Okay, it's just organized differently, and it has different information associated with that organization, what I call an energy fingerprint. Okay, and so our bodies relate to that. Our bodies actually interpret this information and utilize it at the holographic level. That's below. That's when we get to the subatomic stuff. See, biology functions in this chemistry side. It's the physical side of our life. Okay, but when you break that stuff down, what it's made up of, it's energy and it's information. And Dr. Cook has put together a very unique process. He calls it information corollary, where it's associated, where he can take a botanical or anything, a botanical, and correlate it to an algorithm that our body actually, it's kind of converting into computer language where our body actually can interface with. And it's a proprietary process, and parts of it's under patent protection. And he's created something that's really amazing here. It just plumb works. And he's combined biofeedback. He's combined quantum physics. He's combined study of how the mind, which is the consciousness, interfaces with the subconscious, and how this all impacts biology. And I'm sure he didn't discover that. It just didn't land on his lap. There was a lot of trial and error over the years. Where now it works, and he's got thousands of people using it. Many of those practitioners around the world, and the company continues to grow because we just get results. We have a lot of anecdotal evidence and clinical evidence to support the value of this system. Now you could go into the system and you can select from a library. I call it the health store, virtual library, where we have hundreds of nutraceutical ingredients. We have even things like energy, electromagnetics. We have, and one of my favorite components here in this whole library thing are the things that he has addressed that are fungus and molds, that from a homeopathy standpoint. Because I believe that's important, because I think most people are impacted by that negatively, and it contributes to many of the serious illnesses that are mysterious to everybody. Like, how's this happening? How do I? And even conventional medicine doesn't have answers and stuff. But if you are doing voice scans, that's why voice scans are the most important thing to do. And any of this stuff is coming up in the radar. You need to pay attention to it. Of course, turn it on, because it's so effective in helping us. The intent to help us prevent those problems and reduce them. And you'll see as you do more and more of this, how they start going down percentage-wise and start dropping off the radar. And that's how this stuff works. So we have some tremendous tools here. We have tools that can, we have this whole thing going with the coronavirus. I just shared with you a whole list of, from these docs, protocols that they're using that helps build the immune system to help ward off these kind of attacks. And then now we have electromagnetics. First of all, we can identify the fact that if we're being influenced by it, and then we can select those to help neutralize the effects of that using Dr. Cook's technology here. So anyways, yeah, any questions you guys might have?
Let's open up for questions, Ron. That sounds good. We have a bunch of new people here today, Ron, so I'm sure we have some questions on how everything works. So if you have a question, please in the chat put in 777. If you have a testimonial, please put in 888, okay?
Man, Ron, that is always some powerful information that you provide, and especially the part when you were breaking down the vitamin A and what it does. It strengthens the cell walls, man. You guys don't even know how serious that is right there. You know what I mean? Like, strengthening your cell walls is so important to protecting us right there, man. That was big earlier. I didn't want to interrupt you and chime in at that time, and also the other thing is the huge difference in, see, numbers and analytics are our guide to telling us the answers in life, you guys. And when he said the difference between 4G and 5G, I'm going to elaborate on that right now real quick. So 4G runs at 60 megahertz per second, right? So 5G runs at 60 gigahertz per second. You guys write that down. That is, if you guys know numbers, you guys know the difference from mega to giga. 60 megahertz per second to 60 gigahertz per second. That is incredibly way more than ever.
Hey, Steve, just to let you know, you just turned on a light bulb for me. One of the studies that I came across about a month ago, this guy, in fact, he is the guy who has influence over why Switzerland has now stopped 5G implementation in their country. He's a weapons expert. I think he's from Ireland or something. He needs to use an Irish accent. Anyways, he's a weapons expert. He basically said, look, 5G is microwave. 5G is microwave, and microwave is a weapon. He says we build weapons with 5G technology in it. Okay, and so just so that you know, 5G is not good for biology. Now the other thing too, when Dr. Shiva talks about, what Steve was talking about, vitamin A and the impact it has. Well, vitamin A does something, more significant. In the studies, he shows that vitamin A actually helps rebuild macrophages and T cells. Now, what initially took those guys out is because, and how this is connected with fungus and mold, we have a buildup of ND in the body, which is the opportunistic fungus building up in the body. What it does, it actually produces a toxin called gliotoxin, and it actually kills and takes out the T cells and the macrophages. And so that makes us more vulnerable to what is called the innate portion of our immune system that helps us kill these invaders. Well, vitamin A reverses that process. And see, this is a botanical, this is a nutrient, actually it's a hormone that our body has and uses. And if we don't have that in our body, we don't have all the tools we need to fight these battles. And so it's really interesting, all the science and history that we have on each one of these nutrients that we can use as a battle. And we have these things. You don't have to run up to the store and buy them. We have them right now. You can go into our library and select these things. And the reason why I believe we have even a better solution than you take the botanicals, and I'm not against the botanicals, I take them as well, and they're good. But if we have, which we're told, we're loaded with toxins, okay? And if that's going on, then toxins block assimilation of botanicals. Also, when you eat anything, there's two things that happen where we don't get the benefit of the value of those nutrients. Number one, we have to digest it. In the digestive process, if our gut isn't working properly, and most of us don't have proper working guts, okay, we lose a big chunk. We lose a big chunk of that assimilation of those nutrients, okay. And then the other thing that happens is if we have, once it gets through from digestion, it sends it to the bloodstream. The toxins block receptors. And if that's the case, we're not going to get there. But you see, information, energy is not physical. It's not physical. So it's assumed that somehow, because we see anecdotal evidence that shows that when we use these energy information things, it solves the problem. And I always use the example of Dr. Cook when he used the example about the gal with scurvy, okay? And where she was eating vitamin C rich food, she was taking vitamin C supplements, and yet she still had scurvy symptoms. But when he gave her the InfoBoost version of vitamin C, the scurvy symptoms went away. Well, I connect dots here, and I think, well, okay, most likely it would sound to me that she's somehow not assimilating that vitamin C, whether it's in the digestive process, whether it's toxins build up at the receptor levels. Either way, at the end of the day, she's not getting it. And yet, when you take the information version of it, which is not physical, it's energy information, and because we are holograms, it actually provides the hologram what it needs to balance out, and biology follows. That seems to be what's playing out here. And the reason why I believe it's in many cases far superior, at least an insurance policy that everybody needs to be taking this stuff, because knowing that we're going to get what we need, and on top of that, the ability for our body through the functionality of the system to identify exactly what our body's saying that wants and needs right now, because it needs it right now. And if it comes up in a rate or in that 80-90% range, it's saying, hey, we need some of this stuff here, give it to me. And so I think we have an excellent system to do that.
Okay, we have a question here from Terry. She wants to know, can I hear how this application works for all the information, please?
How does
she get the information into her body? She wants to know, how does this information, or how does this application work? How can she activate it? How does it work?
Okay.
Question.
Okay. So let's say, I'm just going to provide a hypothetical. Let's say you do the voice-activated spark scan. Now, this is a biofeedback mechanism where Dr. Cook has identified the botanicals. He's treated a corollary of that botanical in information form, so that when you go ahead and select, let's say on your voice scan, it says that you want vitamin C. In other words, vitamin C came up. I'm just making this up. Let's say vitamin C was 95%. That means that your body wants vitamin C. Okay, so you go in, you select vitamin C after you've done the voice, versus after you've done the voice scan. You select vitamin C. It's dropped off. That vitamin C information corollary is dropped off at 0 point in the quantum field. So the quantum field, it's you pick it up through the subconscious. your subconscious is your personal doorway to the quantum field. And the reason why we're called the limbic arc is because the limbic system is the gatekeeper that processes all the information from the subconscious into the conscious, because there's like a million times more stuff in the subconscious that we don't need to be concerned about. But it's cherry picked because our limbic arc our limbic system knows that vitamin C. So we pick it up, we bring it across to the consciousness. Now the consciousness, once we get to that point, then it's received into our body's hologram. Okay, where energy is information, we handshake that way. So we receive it. And the body understands what this is. It knows what to do with it to bring the body. It's always trying to go back in the homeostasis. So the vitamin C gets it there, and you'll find out when you start doing future waist scans, you'll see that vitamin C start going lower and lower in priorities from the 90s down to the 80s, 70s. Pretty soon it drops off the radar. And if something should happen because of some stressors in your life or something when you need vitamin C again, it'll show back up on the radar, and you select it, and you go through the process again. So we're all dynamic that way.
So basically, you activate it through your cell phone or your laptop computer or your tablet as the remote control into our cloud library of nutraceuticals, botanicals, and all these that you see here. And from there, where it's sent to the 0 point field, and from the 0 point field, almost instantaneously, it gets to your energy field, basically, right?
Yes, it's faster than the speed of light. You have to. The best way to visualize this is just visualize this great big wagon. You know, all the spokes that go to the hub in the center. Well, the hub in the center is 0 point, and every one of us are one of those spokes. Our field, our energy field that we have, represents one of those spokes, and everything in the physical reality has spokes like that going into that hub. So when it's dropped off to that hub, it knows how to get to you, and it comes through the subconscious to our consciousness is how it works. And it happens, like I said, faster than the speed of light. It's instant thought.
Wow, that's amazing. We have another question here from Shahid Ali. Your mic is open.
I like that. Cicada.
I like that.
Thank you, Mr. Spence. Phenomenal. I love the way you explain it. You make me understand it so much. You basically, my question was answered. It was how does it come to us through 0 point field, and you basically answered it. So thank you so much.
Yeah. He just another common thing that people ask in this section, and that is people sometimes think, well, how about if I don't have my phone on me, or or how about the electromagnetics on the phone? Is that gonna affect me negatively?
Ooh, or I'll just take that one
You
right
have to
in front of you.
understand
He said,
that
no, you will
the
not.
energy information
You know which one I was looking
is
at.
not
Quick,
sent
like
to you
you
over your
see.
phone.
No, listen.
Okay. Once you turn it on, you can have your phone in the next state if you want, or your
Is that
computer,
a-
whatever
This
you
is
do.
live. This is
I
not
couldn't
video.
tell that.
Okay,
She
look.
knows.
Look, come here.
Electronic.
Oh, now I do.
So it's not going to impact
Okay,
you.
This,
now I
that's
do.
Ron
It's
Spence
just
right
like
there.
the remote control on your television. You
You
just
ain't never
select,
even been
you know,
on this
you're only
video
on there a
before.
few minutes. You select what you want, turn it on, let it go, and let it rip for 10 to 14 days, and you're receiving it continually. And so it's
Okay, let's
very
go.
minimal
I'll be right
exposure to anything that's electromagnetic.
So you were saying that the limbic system actually funnels it through our subconscious?
Yeah. What happens? Remember, the name of our company is Limbic Arc.
Okay.
It refers
Yes,
to
thank
the
you for that.
limbic system of the
Limbic
brain,
system.
which is the gatekeeper between the conscious and subconscious.
Huh.
And it's called arc because it arcs between the subconscious and conscious. The holographic field,
What?
that hub, that 0 point in the middle, our subconscious is our personal doorway to that quantum field. Okay, that's the open. It's how it comes. That's how it comes to us. And then the limbic system, kind of the quarterback, gatekeeper, it recognizes that, hey, he's looking for this vitamin C, so when it shows up, I'll just send it across. But I don't need to send everything across, because there's a whole bunch of stuff in that subconscious mind, many, many times more than what you need to know about. So it cherry picks that information.
Man.
Wow, it would be nice to have a diagram of that.
Really though.
With
Yes,
the
man.
wheel, the spoke, and everything, that would be awesome.
For real.
Now, this is just something I just read and thought about on the moment. That's how I would visualize how we're all connected. Just think of a gigantic wagon wheel, and every one of our energy fields is a spoke on that, going into that hub and wave.
And that's phenomenal. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's a great example. Yes, exactly.
I wanted to share a testimonial from my mom. Right, yesterday was her birthday. She just turned 70. Right, and so her and Ron are the same age. Right, enjoying the wonderful benefits of what we have here on our hands. Right, so on my birthday, the day before Saturday, right, because we're one day apart, her boost expired. Right, I believe Saturday night. So we didn't realize that it had expired because, she doesn't see the text. Yesterday, she had a barrage of text messages for her birthday, right? So her text messages alert went unseen, that her info boosts were not active because they expired, right? So she had so much stomach. She has a lot of stomach issues like Karen and stuff like that. Her and my brother, very much. They use a lot of advanced probiotics and things of that nature. She even has a special beverage that she drinks with kefir and certain other things, pomegranate juice, probiotics. You mix it all together for her well-being every single day. Right. So yesterday, when her boost expired and it wasn't on, she had tremendous problems with her digestive system and she had pain. So I still have to turn the custom spark scan on for her today. I'm going to go through her, get her spark scan. But I turned back on the digestive, and along with a couple of the combined info boosts that I had, 2 other boosts that were combined, like 3-in-1s. She started feeling better like every 5 minutes that went along, and by the next hour, she got a lot better, and the pain started going away, until it was completely better a couple hours while we were watching movies and stuff like that. And this is late last night, so that's just a testament of how powerful this really is and how quickly it works. Because like the other day on my own personal testimonial, when the pain relief had expired and I had turned it back on, it immediately started giving me relief. But when the pain subsides to such a level, it can't give you complete, 0 to 60. It takes a little bit of time, like every 5, 10, 15 minutes, the next hour I felt better. The hour after that, the pain had just gone back down to the levels where I barely could notice them. And the same thing for my mother's situation in her pain in her stomach and her whole gut reaction, yesterday. So this is all stuff that naturally occurs in our life using this kind of thing that we have, and you see the subtle differences when it expires, man, that your body tells you right then and there. So that's what the level of seriousness this is for me personally, is it hits home when those things happen to me, because I'm a real sensitive person to what's going on to my body, and I pay attention to that every single day, all the time, because you have to know how to react to what your body's telling you, right? So that's a big component for me, is how the effective level is on everything as it's working, but as it stops. You know what I mean? You just feel that, like there's no denying it, So I just wanted to elaborate with that testimonial from my mom and the one that I experienced during the week last week,
Yeah, what Steve said is so true. Every once in a while, I forget about, when I set info boosts and things, and many times, in fact, that's one of the new functionalities in the future. We'll be notified when we have an info boost that stops. It'll let us know that. But in the meantime, we have to keep track of it. And sometimes I forget. And I can tell you when something's turned off that my body's wanting and needing, because you can feel it. You can totally feel it. Like, oh, gee, that feels good. Go back and check it. Oh, geez, it expired yesterday. Okay. So that you can see that happening. You have to understand our biggest education and sometimes challenge that we have something so far advanced here compared to what, we're competing with people in the nutraceutical industry that sell physical products. Okay. And we have a lot of advantages over that because, first of all, if there's no shipping, we can deliver it instantly to anybody in the world, anywhere, and we have a big variety we can choose from. At the same time, our body, the functionality of the system actually helps us select what we need. So it's personalized to us. That's a phenomenal thing that's going on here. But people have to understand and realize that information, our bodies are meant to harvest information. We live in a world that appears to be physical, that is not physical. So when you break our makeup down to what we're made up of, we are made up of energy, and it's flowed with everything has information in it. And so when you start wrapping your head around, and this isn't woo-woo made up stuff. This is solid science, quantum physics. Okay, this isn't. So when you connect the dots, we're not making speculations here. What we're basically saying, this is hard science. It says everything in our physical reality is not physical at all. Now, the thing that makes sense to this physicalness of our reality, we have 5 senses. We have human DNA. All these things are things that interpret our world as energy. You have to also understand that we only participate with these skills that we have, our human DNA on our senses. We can only interface with 5% of the electromagnetic spectrum, and that's our world, okay? But the other 95% is still real and it's out there. We just don't have the tools to participate with that. That's where this quantum world lives, okay? And it has so many wonderful things. If we had better, more advanced DNA and more senses, we could participate in that and see the miracles, the things that we would call miracles that live there. That's what we're tapping into. We're tapping into stuff that allows our body to interpret information at the end of the day. That's what we're always doing here. When we eat food, when we take vitamins and minerals, all of a sudden we're actually at the quantum level, we're harvesting information. And our body uses that information, develops itself. And if we have things going on in our lives and our bodies that block that, then we're not going to have as good an effect eating that food, taking those supplements. But yet, when we do this through the Limbic arc, that information, there's nothing there to block it. Okay, so we get the full value of that. That's the reason why so many people are having such great results using this technology. So I just want to let everybody know that.
Another question here. If it hides pain, how would we know if something may be wrong?
Here's the thing. We have so many. When we look at something that's pain-oriented, anything that you take that assists in stopping pain, which is inflammation in the body, there's a right way to do it, and I wouldn't say wrong way. But when we have formulas that show that are effective on pain, you have to understand that when you do a voice scan, it's looking at all these things that the body needs to do, and it's looking at all these things surrounding it that leads up to why you have pain. And the voice scan is always the safest way to go. It takes you longer. It's a lot longer to get there. But at the end of the day, it solves the problems, as at least we observe that. When you take a formula that's associated with as an anti-inflammatory, it may move the body quicker that way, but you don't know really what's causing the pain. There's so many things that can cause pain that's unrelated. For example, you might have this pain in your knee. Okay, man, this pain. I wish I could take something from my knee. Maybe it's, whatever it might be, a mechanical. You have to understand that pain in your knee might be caused because you don't have the right flora in your digestive tract that allows a microbe to digest the botanical to give you the phytochemicals you need to solve that pain problem in your knee. And it has to be gut related, and it has nothing to do with, and we jump to conclusions that all that pain over there is associated right there. Your body knows exactly what's going on, and as you let it do the voice scan and it selects the botanicals that it needs, eventually it solves all these problems. And of course, we can help it by understanding the things that we can do to heal our bodies. We have to have proper diet, we have to have exercise, we have to think right. And Limbic Arc has created some great tools that kind of help assist us going down a path to solve some of these problems.
Awesome. Okay. Looks like
by the way, it doesn't cover pain. Pain is one of those things. Pain is one of those things that that's a more difficult one. There's so many things that can cause pain. There may be, for example, there's andrographis paniculata. There is green lipid muscle. These are real heavyweight. There's arnica. There's a lot of botanicals out there historically that have been used to relieve pain. So you can put together a formula with all these different things in there. We have some anti-inflammatory formulas that may assist you in helping you resolve initially, but long term, you have to get to the bottom of why that pain's there in the first place. That's the reason why I believe the voice scan, ultimately, you always have to be running that one, because eventually it gets you there.
Not only are you going to get the voice scan done, it's going to basically give you the different ingredients that you need to target the problem that's going on, because the body knows what it wants.
That's
so
right.
It's going to actually give you the ingredients to relieve the pain naturally through energy information.
And you
fighting the pain, it's just going to help relieve the pain and get to the bottom of it at the same time.
You can run the voice scan even on a pain or an inflammatory formula and have your body select the specific ingredients out of that maybe 20 ingredient formula of what because it knows exactly what it wants and needs and knows to help resolve that and bring you back into homeostasis.
And I wanted to let everybody know, when you take like aspirin, ibuprofen, any of that kind of stuff for pain, it doesn't go to where the pain is, right, to your body. It's just telling your mind that the pain isn't there anymore. See?
That's right.
That's a huge deal, you guys. Like, people do not realize what's going on with that, and that's why those pills get pushed so heavily in this world, is because people don't understand that one simple thing.
And you think of that model, Steve. Here's a situation where that's what everybody's been trained to do. I can get rid of the pain by taking a chemical, and then realize that we really did not get to the bottom of why that pain's there in the first place. So it causes you to have to take it more and more to resolve the pain, because you've never resolved the issue of the pain. And then we know the side effects of these chemicals, what they do in the body. And so what Limbic Art does, it actually starts providing and suggesting botanicals and things that you need to, like peeling an onion, to get to the bottom of why you had that pain in the first place. Again, the voice scan takes longer, but it's the only way that I know that we have a great tool that can help us accomplish that.
Awesome. I think we have one testimonial. Let me see here. Karen.
Yes, and remember, we also do the kinesthetic response. We have to touch, that's another way to identify who we are, so the system knows. So, well, mine's related to something new that happened this morning when I woke up, actually woke me up. And it was very unusual because I was having a really scary nightmare. And I don't really have those too much. And I woke up and I thought, what the heck? And then I realized my CPAP machine mask was off. And I remember my oxygen goes down to 60% when I don't use that machine. But I couldn't get rid of this feeling like maybe I need to call 911, because it happened to me in June. My heart felt like my chest felt like there was a truck on it. My heart was fluttering. I couldn't get my bearings, and I couldn't figure out. I tried to put the blood pressure cuff on to figure out if I've got an emergency or not. And I grabbed my phone, and I kept my custom boost on and took off the other two, and I immediately put on calm and stress relief, and then just laid there quietly. And it was less than 15 minutes that I calmed down enough to manage the blood pressure cuff. And it was high normal. One of them was a little higher and the other one was normal. But it was nothing like June when they came, because my heart was beating 172 beats per minute. It was only beating 80 today. But I'm telling you, that stress relief and that calm combined, I never really put those both on at the same time, totally took that away. And, then I put some music on and I just stayed real quiet for the first hour and rechecked and made sure I was going to be okay. But it was fearful. And the relief was, right, the solution was there.
That's what we were talking about. Awesome. Great to hear that, Karen.
Thank you.
We have one more question here. It looks like it's from York. York, unmute yourself. You're live.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My question is related to the information that we put in. So we do the Spark scan, and the scan tells our system what we need. So then we create our boosts. When it's all said and done, that information is a part of us, and we're a part of that information. So does that information stay with us so that if our body needs that again, it's readily available, or are we still having to stay with creating a boost in order to get that?
Hey, good question. When you go through the Spark scan and it identified 10, 20, 30 ingredients, if you will, that your body is ranked, you start taking that. It has a time window on it based on what you set, whether it's 1 day or 14 days. So at the period of that, at whatever that period is you set, it ends that transmission from those botanicals to you. Now, the next time you do a voice scan, it may take up still a number of those same ingredients, most likely does, so you can reuse it over again. This is the kind of stuff you use all the time. It's because we are constantly under stress. We have new things, stressors that happen to us every day in our lives, in our diets, toxin exposure. We're exposed to all these things, and this is a dynamic way of your body expressing right now in this moment, this is what I need, okay? And Dr. Cook says, the best way to do this is turn it on, use it. Don't do it less than 8 days. 8 days is the minimal amount of time you want to do a Spark scan to get the best benefit. And he says 8 days to 14 days is the window for most people. But once it doesn't stay with you forever, it stays with you until that voice scan ends, okay? And then you want to run another one to see what combination of things your body's looking for right now.
Wow. Awesome. Is there any other questions? Well, we are at the top of the hour. Looks like we had so much fun that we went 12 minutes overboard, guys. So I really appreciate you guys showing up. Get with the person who invited you to this Zoom meeting and get yourself set up with the custom Spark scan. And we'll see you guys at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Peace and blessings from Master Jamil to AI Global Legends.
Thank you, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys. Awesome.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Recording is off.
Yeah.
All right, guys.